Let's speak now to Michael Kugelman. He is the Deputy Director of the Asia Program at the Wilson Center in Washington. Thanks so much for being with us. You know, it's been a year and the situation has consistently deteriorated for so many Kashmiris. There's been international outcry, complaints filed with the United Nations, but nothing's changed. Will India and the BJP, do you think, simply get its way on this?
Well, yes, I think that India tends to get a pass from the world for things. It does things that the world would not give a pass to other countries to. And that's because India tends to be seen as a key global player, a strategic player, a country that provides important markets and opportunities for investment. So there's been a lot of quiet. Initially, after Article 370 was revoked a year ago, there was a large outcry, a lot of media coverage, a lot of criticism, but then it's gone quiet. And I think it's because, for the reasons that I mentioned, many countries just don't want to wade into it. They want to stay away. They want to see it as India would like to see the Kashmir issue as, and that's as an internal matter for India and Pakistan to work out. Even a number of Muslim majority countries that one would expect to have been more vocal about this have stayed relatively quiet.
So if it is left to, India and Pakistan to work out, what is the worst case scenario potentially? Could there be armed conflict?
Well, I think that's unlikely. I think that what's to watch, what we should be looking for over the next year, is does India continue to scale up this Hindu nationalist agenda that led to these moves in Kashmir? Will continue to do things that will provoke not only Kashmiris but also raise concerns and unhappiness in Pakistan. Now, one could argue that with India facing a very serious economic crisis, not to mention the coronavirus pandemic, that it may want to stay away from this agenda and focus on other issues. I would argue that it actually would want to accelerate this agenda, which is very dangerous, I would argue, for Muslims, not only in Kashmir, but in India on the whole. Maybe it would want to, I actually think they would want to push forward on that in order to distract India's rank and file from these very difficult economic challenges that the country is facing and distract this rank and file from the struggles that the ruling party, the BJP, may have in dealing with those problems. So I fear that the Hindu nationalist agenda could be scaled up even more. I like to think, though, that neither country, neither Pakistan nor India, wants a war, and neither can afford one. So I like to think that won't happen. But the sad thing about this is that I feel that the issue of Kashmir is so often hijacked by what India thinks, what Pakistan thinks. We don't hear enough about what Kashmiris think. And I think a big part of the reason for that is that they're not really allowed to speak out freely in many cases in Indian-administered Kashmir. But clearly, they are going through a lot right now, particularly in the Kashmir Valley, which has been an epicenter of anti-India sentiment. Large numbers of Kashmiri Muslims that have never wanted to become a formal part of an Indian country that they have long despised. So it's a
Right.
very volatile situation, to say the least.
It is. Quickly, I mean, in the longer term, if it is, as you say, and India will get its way on this, things are not likely to change because the world will turn a blind eye. Do you actually see the demographics of Kashmir changing, as many suspect the intention of the BJP was?
Yeah, well, certainly when you talk to Kashmiris, when I talk to Kashmiris I know on the ground, this is the major concern, demographic change. That India will use not only the Article 370 revocation, but also these new domicile laws, which really make it easier for people from all over India, and that means members of the Hindu majority, to come into Kashmir and to invest there, to acquire land, to live there. So I think that certainly that's a very real concern. If you were to see major demographic change, it would not happen overnight. It would have to happen over a period of years. But this does seem to be the direction that India is going in, and this would reflect this Hindu nationalist agenda, which is all about elevating the status of Hindus in state and society. And Kashmir, of course, India-administered Kashmir, is the only Muslim majority region in India. So
Right.
I do think that we have to look at this as a possible, as a concern.
Okay, Michael Kugelman, thank you so much for being with us there from Washington. We appreciate it.